So just at the end of last time, I had spotted a bug, which very shortly after the end of the video I realised what the source of it was. It's possible to end up in a situation without a selected node by opening. I don't think it'll happen with not render options, but with the draw mode options. Applying it, there is now no selected node, and I know what's happening because the draw mode options uses the project copy system. When I apply it, the entire project gets copied. A new project effectively replaces the old one. It's almost exactly the same, so you don't notice. The difference is that the selected node reference that the editor is using to know which node it currently has will be deleted or have one of these actions carried out on it. That selected node reference points to the node in the old project. So that selected node still exists, only because that reference exists. The garbage collection hasn't cleaned it up. This, I'm aware that I'm vaguely aware that people who have problems with garbage collection, this is a kind of thing, and it's not wrong, I think, it's a point. I love the benefits of garbage collection, though, it's not even that this is really a downside of garbage collection, it's that I get used to garbage collection dealing with things, I suppose, and inevitably things like this come up. It's not really a problem, I just have to think about it. It does bring up one thing that now that all things are working sort of more nicely, that is to say, well, what is it to say? I don't, I don't need this to be an apply cancel situation. This can be an open close situation. I'd realised that now that I have this setup, which I like, of the GUI effectively operating on 3 layers, the desktop, the window layer, and the alert zone. That's not a good. It should just be called the foreground zone or something. Or even I should just call them rear, middle and front, because that's the only real distinction between them. In fact, the distinction between these zone gadgets and everything else is that the zone gadgets what am I trying to say? Is that those deepest zone gadgets don't change their order. I am kind of pleased with the fact that that is as complicated as it had to be. Anyway, the point of all that is, just because these windows are going to the window zone doesn't mean they need to be windows. I can stick any gadget in the window zone. I could have gadgets open up when I click draw gradient or render options, which kind of look more like this, but have a close button. So render options and draw gradient were more like sort of show and hide. Is that sensible? I suppose the point of it is that I don't need, technically, to take a copy of this for the purposes of editing it, Initially when I started doing that kind of thing, it was with the gradient sets. And it sort of makes sense. The gradient sets were like more sophisticated color selection boxes. And you might play around with the gradient set and then realize you don't want those changes to take place because there are many, you could end up making a lot of changes. Here you make a change one thing at a time, and then you click apply and you get a new, because what it was, well, so what's the alternative? Is that either draw gradient and render options just open a box. Now, it could be a window like this, but it just doesn't have an apply button, it just has a close button. And all of this is left active, and I think that that's okay to leave active if the contents of this are really the contents of the project, not the contents of this box's own copy of the project that it's using to make the changes to before you click apply. I don't need to do all that to solve this selection bug problem. The selection bug problem has other, one thing I could do is just make it whenever you click apply in one of these boxes, I make sure to nullify the selected corner and selected vert nodes. It'd be quite simple to do it. That's not ideal. Really, just changing some of the details of the content of a project. You shouldn't unselect the vert that you had selected. I'm going to change the name away from verts to controls, but anyway, just changing anything and clicking apply, because I don't even really need to make a change. If I click apply, my selection goes away, and this is in a bug state now. Basically, I could crash it by clicking that one or two times, or a handful of times maybe. Not now, because I've selected something. These buttons now have something to point at, or something proper to point at, which is also connected to other things. It's not that when I do this, the previously selected node disappears, even though it should. It doesn't disappear because it still has that reference. But that node, which is, the vert, which is referenced by the selected node reference, isn't connected to other verts the way it thinks it is, let's say. Its own parent, I think, has disappeared at this point. Its own owner, corner. Man, it's hard to keep track of them for sure. Anyway, so what is the option here? That when I open this, actually things you do here happen immediately, and there's no point in having an apply and cancel, because that would be the consequence. There would just be close, and this would stay active, and it would be fine that this stayed active, because this would be more like just how it was over here. It's just acting on the project. And in fact, when I think about it, I think that is the way I'm going to go, because I will build in an undo function. In fact, now that I've got the copy project method, I'm assuming it's pretty fast to do. If I was writing a computer game, I wouldn't be doing that sort of thing every frame, but when it's this, the things, it's just not going to be the time consuming thing to do in a frame, I don't think. So yeah, I'm going to change back to that, but then having said that, the undo option will demand that I build in something, because I'll make the undo option work the same way. I'll just take a copy of the project whenever you do anything to it. But then clicking undo or redo will be replacing the entire project object, which will mean that the selected vert and corner references end up pointing to a defunct object, an object that is really doomed for removal. So I will need to build basically a system that says take the selected corner invert information you have and convert it into a couple of integers or something, basically, that describes the selected corner invert in ways other than references, so that I can take that information and apply it to, and find the correct vert and corner within the new project. Instance, excuse me, sorry. So I think that's the route I'm going to go. So really this will be replaced with just close to heavily imply that what you're doing is happening as we speak. And I will change it so that they don't close down this, so that you can have the render options open if you like. Render options makes less difference because none of these things will alter what appears here. Changing these things should have some effect on what happens here, even though, this is the preview. It's never gonna, I don't think the preview will ever give you an accurate gradient representative sort of image of the gradient render, but the point is changing these values will change what appears on the screen immediately. So anyway, so I'm going to do that. I bloody wonder if there's some other problem upcoming if I do that. Like, what happens if this is all running in the background, then I open the gradient window as well, which it kind of should be okay with. Does this get an apply and cancel? Like, do I go back on this original thing and say, oh, I fiddled with some of the GUI values and the windows are harder to get hold of? Do I go back and say, yeah, actually, this just has close as well? I'm tempted not to do that with the gradient set, I must admit. Still, just because I mean, changes to the gradient set are another thing you'd be able to undo. Okay, wow. Building in the undo option will be a bit of a pain in the bum. The actual structure of it won't be too complicated, but it won't be that bad. I'll just have to go through the code and find everything that makes any change to the project and stick in a little function call that says something like update history. It is a kind of thing I've programmed before, and enough for more complicated things than this, but I haven't programmed often. This is a problem as well. You can lose your windows. It's not something I'm going to be... I'll just have to sort it out. It's not too bad, actually. Okay. So you are to be altered. Draw mode options. I'm a little bit anxious about this. But no, it should be fine, basically, yeah. I will start with how I no longer have apply and cancel, but will have close button. Now all this bit is definitely long gone, but this bit is soon to be gone, so I will just mark it for that. This just doesn't happen no more. Desktop does not go inactive now. these things do no longer exist, but what does exist in their place is close button equals new I button self close cx cy, and this is just button width and button height because it can just cover the width of the bottom, and close button align sides 0 1, so the left and right are locked to the left and right, and the top and bottom are both locked bottom. Okay. Okay, so now I'm basically replacing copy with project. I believe. Yeah, I'm wanting a project. I do foresee some problems with this for sure. Project. The problems will be, well, no, it won't be anything serious. It's like maybe the work zone isn't going to update certain times, but I see my color request goes the opposite way around to my old-fashioned requests. Paste. Oops. Anyway, don't suppose it's the end of the world. Yeah, so this gets project gradient set now. It will still take a copy inside it, but project. This is project. And apply button. There is no apply and there is no cancel button. Now there is only close button. And I'm pretty sure it just self-removes. I also notice that this does a GUI refresh. That's one of the little problems I was thinking about. This needs a project. Now, one of the problems I was thinking about was updating the gadgets applies to the draw mode options window. It does a similar thing to refresh GUI. Do I want to refresh GUI when I update these gadgets? Well, here I will do GUI refresh because it won't bother updating the gadgets it's about to remove. And in update gadgets, does a bunch of stuff, of course. And everything needs to be drawn from the original, not the copy. Original. works the same way. Maybe I don't need to remove the gradient editor now. Why would I not need to do that? Yeah, it's because now the gradient editor... Oh, the reason I would not need to do that still is that the gradient editor... Well, actually, now I'm passing project to the gradient editor. No, the project gradient set to the gradient editor. Maybe it's okay to leave it there, because when it applies that gradient, it'll p to the project gradient set. I'm going to go with it. And this bit's not necessary either. It just tells the editor that there is no draw options window anymore. Okay, so according to my brilliant thinking, this now just works on the project, doesn't close down the rest of the system. Now, do I just want to fire straight in and do the same to render options? Render options works differently, yeah. It takes these copies, and I think I am just going to do the same. I'm going to say, this will be a more annoying one to change, but what is it I replaced it with? Oh yeah, close button. Hang on. Oh yeah, no. Just, okay. Close button. My button. Okay. So yeah, these things just don't happen anymore. And it'll just be annoying. It'll be annoying going through this too. And all this. New my button. Self. Close. CX, CY. Normal button width and button height. And just align it to the bottom. 0, 1, 0, 1, 1. And I do also say CY plus equals button height. I don't, or I rather, well, yeah, okay. And that will be used to define the correct height for the window. So, I now need to go through this, because this doesn't work on out width, this works on project output width and project output width. This works on project output height, and so does this. Oops. What on earth? Okay. Output height, this is project output straight to the project. No, it's just recursions. What on earth is it? Copy render log flag. Okay. Okay. There is no apply button and there is no cancel button. What there is close. And it doesn't need to do any of that. I will do the GUI refresh just in case that made sense, and self remove. Update gadgets has to use all these things. I bet I'm about to remember why this is a bad idea. And I can't remember why it is just now. Video options, update gadgets. Image options, update gadgets. Man. This is more annoying because it's divided up this way. And similarly, idiotic video options. Excuse me, but my goodness. Talk about making life difficult for yourself. Not required. Just crazy. Going back and forth, and probably, this would have been another opportunity or another time where I should have forked again. But it's like, I'm not unaware. Anyway, this one doesn't need so many changes, does it? Okay, yeah, this is just project quality. This is project render program. This is project frames and project frames. I think this is video loops, yeah. Frames per second, can't remember what I called that. Frames per second. Project, what was it? Retain images, yep. And again. Okay, apply is no longer a sensible thing. No, I won't do that. I will do this for now. Very soon I will take it away. And once again. And the gradient editor still retains its apply close. The video options where is oh not video options, god, render options. Again, this bit, don't think that's required. And don't think that's required. Am I feeling bold? Yes. Always amazing when I pass that cementing stage, because I usually expect many errors. So now I'm expecting these windows to update the project instance immediately, to have close buttons instead of apply and cancel, and that's it. Should be fine. To allow editing of the project while they're open. I said something the other video about how there was a problem with the loading and saving of project system, which I had to think about. Right, first off, everything looks functional. Draw gradient has this, nothing else shuts down. I can do this. If I switch to addition and switch the ink to this and say OK, instantly it changes. If I say just do something for me, seems fine. I wonder if there are things that I can do here that will require this to be updated. It's not that hard because I have the reference to this, which only has a value when it's open. So it's quite easy. Say what previously I would have done is I would have said if something happens here, then I refresh the GUI if it requires it. Can't remember if I ever, yeah, there was a time, because this is an example when, is that an example? Kind of, very limited. Like when you start up the project, there'll be no selected widget, no selected control, so this should be grayed out, and will under normal circumstances. So doing something here, such as selecting a widget, will affect the GUI in that this will become active. It's a tiny situation, but it does make me think that's something I have to think about, that there are situations where what happens here can force a GUI refresh, and if it so happens that there's something in a window like this or the render options window, both of which can now be open. Render options has no close. Okay, that's a problem. But so also I can test this. If I set this to be 100, there it goes, ping instantly. Nice. Okay, so first off, where is the render options close button? Well, one thing is, I figure out this, by, but then I use cy here and here. When do I actually use by? I hadn't quite registered that this by was here. Cy plus image options plus border. You see, that does seem like a sensible place to put a close button. But then I remember I had this bloody problem before. Oh look, these guys aren't locked to the bottom, that's right. They're locked of course, it gets shifted off the bottom. I don't think I need this anymore either, because this window gets resized after creation. So if the thing gets attached to the bottom of whatever else has been created, or if that close button has its Y position set by the other things that have been created above it, pushing it down off the bottom of the window, then it's locked to the bottom of the window, and the window gets resized, it remains off the bottom of the window. There it is. Doesn't bloody work, but there it is. Okay. Response. Did I just not put in one? No, there. Close button. GUI refresh, self remove. What? Any idea? When I look at this back, I'll be shouting at myself. Must be something obvious. I didn't set the event response. I'm doing this in a slightly funny order. Most of them I didn't need to set the event response for, and often I don't need to because I just collectively say anyway. There. Now, this will have, I guess, solved the problem of, man, took 40 minutes to do like, but solved the problem of something, of ending up in a position with a no longer technically existent control being the selected vert. These things now just instantly update. So if I make this 3000, close this, take it back, it's 3000. If I make this, let's say I go to gradient mode, I do this and I make this bloody bright blue. I apply, I close, I open, it works. I make this into yellow, I cancel, I close, I do this, it's still blue. I make this into yellow, I close this, I apply this, I open this, I come back to gradient, it has worked. I make this into blue, I say okay, I cancel this, I close this, I bring it back and come back, and it is right. Okay, I think that this is all correct. No doubt little niggles will emerge. But I'm back to being able to edit this while this is open, which is kind of nice. I had thought that maybe I would be putting the color buttons back into this top toolbar, but if this can stay open as I edit, then maybe I'll leave them, because the less buttons in these permanent toolbars the better. But it is sometimes nice to be able to edit them, so if I could just leave that open, then okay. I need to slightly reduce the size of the font inside these titles. These titles are pretty cheesy. They're straight out of like Windows 95 or something. I kind of like them, but still. Wow, I'm not getting very many frames per second, but I wonder if this is just an FFmpeg crunch moment. Anyway. Yeah, I'd said that I was going to correct that. And I will. How's my time? Yeah, oh god, okay, I'm at 40 minutes. That's the last thing I'll do. I will go here. Now just say find root. there's one immediately. String list. A string list. Okay, well, I will just say desktop phone. What on earth? Why did you think desktop existed but not desktop zone? Anyway. Okay, that's an integer request. I could just replace that with the more sensible thing, but I won't bother just now. Here, I am in... Huh. I think I can get away with just doing that again now. God damn it, I've got to come back to what, integer request? I have to go up and check. I can't resist going back to gadget. Set focus. Yeah, it goes straight to desktop zone, so it's okay. Where was I? Somewhere down about integer request. This fine next. Next. That. Oh, hang on a sec. No, okay. No, I am allowing it to set to root. Oh, man, have I just caused myself a problem again? If I go back to this and go to color request, response, okay, I just use a different flipping method. What on earth? Alright, okay, fine. I just do set focus. It goes back to there. It seems fine. Right, I'm going to persevere. Root to draw, that's fine. Oops. Root to count, fine. Setup p equals root. Okay, fine. Parent equals root. Parent equals no. Return root gadget. New. Okay, that's fine. Yep. Menu. Right, no. If not parent, parent equals alert zone. Damn. A menu that is created must go into the alert zone. Or, well, doesn't have to, but... Okay, those can go. And again. Confirm override. It's going straight to desktop anyway. I may as well make it null. Am I right about that? God damn it. So that's the thing I have to check. Setup, definitely. Priority panel, no. That one does stay. Here I could be using something better, but never mind. This could use a lot of neatening up actually. Self-set parent root. Like, I hate that because that bloomin' well works, and I don't like it. Well, while I'm here, I need to go to setup. Yeah, if it's root, it goes to desktop zone. Window, yeah, window base. Setup goes to straight to window zone. So in here in file requester, when I say new, I set up the window base and then I say nana. Well, and it ends up working. I'm going to take that out. It ends up working because the root, things in root, well, for a couple of reasons. One is it locks the rest of the screen so nothing else can be activated anyway, but also things in root never get reached by the bring to front method. So when I take a window and set the parent to root, lock everything else by saying alert equals true. God, this is going to really... I have a feeling it's still doing it though. I have a feeling that every time I open somewhere down the line, when I open these draw and render options windows, it still somehow requests something be a parented by root. I have to change that initial startup size. Yeah, set up with root as parent. What if I open this? Called with root as parent. Ah! Okay. That's a pretty good reason. Could always just say desktop zone. Becomes locked. In fact, I think that's what I do here. I don't want to go into alert mode because I'm in the window zone. I want to say desk. I don't know why it's not caught up with me. Desktop zone active equals false. This, I think, pretty sure this is okay. This is me kind of just bringing it in line with the way it works now. And so desktop zone active equals true. And it's nothing to do with alerts. This is not an alert. This is... no, no, no. Okay, right, no, I remember. I do remember. God. Right, here's another alternative. Well, the alerts are going to go back in. Now, I do remember why. It's because other bloody windows might be open. Man, oh man. And doing this is kind of sneaky and clever because it pops it in front of the alerts as well. Not clever that really, is it? It's just sneaky. I could set the parent to be the alert zone. I'm going to give that a go. So this is an extra special window. I'm setting it to be the alert zone because if that works, it's better than it being in root, because then at least alerts, which get added later, maybe by interrupts or something, don't know, will appear in front of this window base. Got to fucking sort. Excuse my language. That's another time I forgot it. Well, now that worked. Everything looks bulky. I did switch back to my native resolution for a while to try it out, and it was running nicely, which I was pleased to see. Everything looked good. But I bulked up the sizes of all the default gadgets, and I don't think I've quite shrunk them right back down again. Anyway, as long as these things still work, let's just do a quick... No, just do it in addition mode and see if that works. Okay, said it did. I haven't done a render in addition mode for a long time. And yep, there it is. Bleached out as it's softened away, but I didn't exactly deliberately select as dark a colour as I possibly could have done. But okay, it worked with this. Everything just worked. So, seeing as how everything just works, I should move on to the next thing. Does everything just work? Yes. These now have close buttons. It really seems like they're remembering everything in the right order, the gradient button included. The gradient button is the next thing I'm going to do, I think, basically. I need to do a couple of things. One is, just before I go, I'll come all the way back to main. I've never managed to make the arrange window thing work, but I have a feeling I might, like 720, it's going to just have to be 600. 600 is really small, but it's going to have to be because I'm on a really small resolution. And at the very least, I'm going to make that stupid gradient editor appear smaller for now. It's not grr. Alright, I set it when I call it, but maybe, I don't think I ever give it anything, do I? 600, what on earth is my resolution? Is it not quite fitting on the screen? It won't be. Let's call it more like 500. And let's call this more like 400. I am going to make it remember it because you will. I would expect myself to have. I'm going to make that 400 as well. I'd expect myself to have adjusted its size to be suitable for the size of the gradient. Oh dear. I double clicked on something. This is going to be the last run just now. Just see how the size of it looks for running at this resolution, and that gradient editor box is not going to get in my way. That's better, and that's better. Okay. Okay.